of grace to be here, or to?
Sorry, say that again.
Is it a proof of grace?
No.
To be here, to be.
Not as far as I'm concerned. Grace for me is somehow connected with the Christian idea of something out there giving you a good grace. But anyway, this is the worst place you could be.
I don't think so.
Except there is no one to be here.
No, this is true.
And outside it rains.
Sorry?
Outside it rains.
Outside of
That's
that.
the second word.
Yeah.
There's nobody here, then why do I have to see him as if I'm a living fish in a frying pan?
That's how you feel, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting fried.
That's quite good.
And I try to jump out of it.
Yeah.
And then all those questions, what's that, how is this?
Mm. How do I get out of the fine? Yeah.
Right,
You can't, you're going to die. You're doomed now, it's all over. You had the disease. The disease is already in there and it's malignant. And inoperable. This is terminal now.
I'm going to change my name.
Yes, yeah. Seeker for escape, not seeker of truth, seeker of escape.
Tony, when you say it's terminal, what do you mean? When you say it's terminal,
Well, it's about your death.
I know, but it's taken quite a long time.
But the last bit doesn't take any time at all, so it doesn't really.
I still have to ask the question, are you speaking of physical death? When
No,
the body
no,
leaves,
no, the
or
death
are you
of me.
speaking of this other
It's got
death?
nothing to do with physical, although in a way.
So, I have to ask all these silly questions
It's
today.
fine. They're just, you know, why not? There's nothing to be done.
I say, death of I, or me. And the physical body is somehow, how can the physical body survive then?
Oh, quite easily. I mean, this physical body just blossoms.
Blossom.
Well, because all the time there's an individual, and it's sort, in a way, there is a tension. There's a sort of tension always, holding this together and making it work in the world. So there is a holding on that goes on, which can often cause, strange enough, illness or disease. Because there's something that's blocked there or held. So when that suddenly collapses, there's a letting go and the body just relaxes.
Really good perspective.
So yeah.
Really good perspective.
Yeah. Apparently.
Tony, there's no point in asking anything, but I'll do it anyway. There is there is a fear of losing control.
Yeah.
And this fear of losing control could keep us in the seeking.
It does.
And yeah, this is what Aaron and I were talking about yesterday.
Right.
About the fear of losing control.
But it's the fear of something that you've never had.
It doesn't feel like that.
No, I know it doesn't. You've never had control, actually.
Yeah, I know, but it feels like
Right.
it feels like you have to
Artificially.
keep things under control. If you don't, something terrible will happen.
Yeah. What's funny is that even though you think you have control, things terrible still happen.
Yeah.
You notice that.
There's a knowledge of this. There's a knowledge of this.
Yeah.
But there's another instance that that says you have to keep control
Yeah,
anyway, even if you don't have it,
Yeah.
and all this. And this probably keeps us in the situation of being a seeker,
Oh, it absolutely does.
which you can't change anyway.
No.
No.
It's the dilemma. Sounds like the devil laughing. It's the devil watching and laughing. Yeah.
When you say nothing happens, is because from nothing, everything happens?
Well, yes, but the everything that seems to be happening is actually nothing appearing to be happening. It only appears to be happening, it really isn't happening.
So
In
everything
a sense, there is, what appears to be happening is infinitely timeless. So there is no progression. This is so, impossible to comprehend. But right now, there seems to be something, this seems to be happening in time. These hands, but actually, they are no thing appearing as something happening. They are absolutely timeless. They're absolutely still, timeless, silent, unrelated, uncaused. Nothingness. It's impossible.
impossible to know.
It's impossible to comprehend. It's just not possible to comprehend it. But directly there is nothing that's trying to comprehend it. It's absolutely apparent. It's absolutely apparent that this is nothing happening. There's nothing happening. It's when there's nothing left, then there is, you could say, and this sounds like another story, really, the way it is, when there is nothing left of that which wants to know, that, of that which seems to be in time in a story, when there's nothing left, there's emptiness. It's absolute emptiness. Nothing, there's nothing. And in that absolute emptiness, then there is absolute fullness.
But for instance, when you look at this flower, there is nothing.
Absolutely.
Or nothing happens.
Of course it is.
And everything.
There's nothing,
This flower happening
nothing
by
flowering. That is what you could say when it is seen in its fullness. When it's only seen in its fullness, when it's seen in its emptiness. Because that's actually its nature. Whereas the individual only sees it in a story. That's a flower that I bought yesterday, or da-da-da, I've got to water it, and it also has meaning. Look, that sunflower has meaning. It means, so it's already owned and being used. The seeker owns everything and uses it. The seeker is a businessman. The seeker essentially is a businessman. The seeker is out there for a deal. Right.
When you look at this flower, what happens?
Well, I don't look at it. You're back to that.
Simply pure seeing.
Yeah, although actually seeing really doesn't come into it. It's not being pure seeing. It just is. There just is. And therefore, the flower or the floor or this, holding this, it's just all one.
Tony, you said the seeker is making deals. What are they making? What are we making?
Well, because
deals
the
with?
seeker is in constant need.
Yeah.
Directly separation happens as a tiny child, then there's a sense of loss, and there is a permanent sense of need. So there's a seeking for what is needed. So whatever the seeker sees thereafter outside of its, or even inside, is something that it can use to comfort itself for the loss. So it's always doing a deal with people, trees, and everything. It's trying to make use of what it thinks arises for it to comfort it, or try and understand what's happening, to run away from what's happening or whatever. It's always on the move. It's a businessman.
The businessmen negotiate.
Yeah, well, they think they can. The seeker thinks it can negotiate with the reality that it seems to think is happening. It can't, but it thinks it can. That's the fascination. The reason, the fascination of being the seeker is I can do it. That's why religion and Buddhism and all those things are so complex, because it's all a business deal.
Tony, yesterday we have been talking about the difficulties with words. I asked you about.
I think we
can you understand?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. When we have been talking about liberation or freedom, things like that, and other things.
Yeah.
And now I realize it's the same thing with happening with words like collapse or explosion, that points in the direction that something is going on, something is happening. So it seems that using the language is always pointing in the wrong direction.
Absolutely. Well, it's certainly always pointing to as though there is something that is going to happen. Yeah.
Yes. So why not stopping talking at all?
Oh, I see. So that's another method. Coffee time.